then I feel like that he needs to take those feelings and go somewhere else with those because he can't manage our city.
Angry Columbia residents want the city manager's resignation.
Could see some wintry weather later this evening. I'll have a look at the forecast.
And Missouri's Attorney General may need to step aside in a controversial case, and it could come down to a recording. KOMU 8 News at 5 starts now.
What's happening right now? Are we looking at 2 straight nights of snow and ice? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Reed.
And I'm Emily Spain. Thanks for joining us. Tim Schmidt joins us now in the studio to tell us if and when we could see some ice and snow, Tim.
Yeah, for the most part, we will see something at least later tonight, but for the most part, this system has kind of split Missouri in half. We have snow up in northern Missouri right now. That's been falling up near Kirksville, Highway 36. And that's where you have winter weather advisories in effect through tomorrow morning for parts of northern Missouri. Then we have southern Missouri's storm system, and it's all ice down there. They're getting reports down in Branson and parts of West Plains of a lot of freezing rain and some of that freezing drizzle that we saw last night. They're getting that right now, and some of that's trying to move this way. A winter weather advisory is in effect for most of southern Missouri, including the southern half of our viewing area until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Not a lot happening on the Doppler radar this afternoon. Satellite and radar is pretty clear, except for northern Missouri. That's continued this afternoon. All the snowfall is going to stay north of I-70 this evening for at least until about 9 or 10 o'clock, and then we'll finally see a few snowflakes after about 9 or 10. The freezing drizzle, though, that's one to keep an eye on down to our south. Here's a look at that nowcast here through the rest of this evening. Eventually, some of those snowflakes start to work its way here to central Missouri, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to have to fight through that dry air. Here's a look at that evening forecast. Chance for flurries increasing by about midnight. Temperatures into the teens. We'll have a look at that detailed forecast. It's coming up here in just a moment.
Now, as that winter weather rolls in, we've checked in with local officials to see what they expect tonight. With the possibility of snow, public works departments in mid-Missouri are working to make sure the roads are safe and drivable. One employee warns drivers to proceed with caution.
I would tell people just to slow down. I mean, just drive, don't tailgate. Give yourself a lot of room to stop. Don't take off from a stop sign like you would on dry pavement because it doesn't work.
All good tips. KOMU also reached out to Boone County Public Works, and they said they don't predict the snow in Boone County will amount to much, but roads and highways have been pre-treated just in case.
A Columbia group is calling for the removal of city manager Mike Mathis. It all dates back to a public event last month. KOMU 8's Kyrion Lee joins us live to tell us what both sides are saying.
The group came before the city council last night and asked for the removal of city manager Mike Mathis. Last month, the city manager made a presentation about race and bias during the Columbia Values Diversity celebration. He apologized for offending anyone, but some say it's not enough.
He disrupts and does distractions to get away from the whole point that there is racism here in Columbia, and it is alive and well.
After a speech at a diversity breakfast last month, city manager Mike Mathis became the target of criticism. Mathis's speech focused on the effort to reduce African-American unemployment and economic inequality.
And he says, we've got to change this. And he said, and the reason I'm talking to you here today is because it is going, you, the business people, you're all here. And it's going to be you all who can change this.
During the presentation, Mathis displayed pictures of 5 young African-American people wearing casual clothes. He then described his perception of the people.
Look at this. I'm going to be very honest with you. As a white man, these make me a little uncomfortable.
The next set of photos showed their actual occupation. Mathis says he was trying to explain that everyone has biases which stem from their background.
Because most folks heard the wrong thing. He did a bang-up job with that speech.
But some do not think it was his place.
And by him being a city manager, and those are his feelings, then I feel like that he needs to take those feelings and go somewhere else with those because he can't manage our city.
I reached out to the city manager for a comment but received no response. Bagby said Mayor Brian Treese needs to address the issue immediately. Reporting live in Columbia, Kyrion Lee, KOMU 8 News.
A crash, an arrest, and a secret recording more than 3 years after a man drove his truck into a Columbia restaurant. The case is going before Missouri's highest court. KOMU 8's Lydia Nussbaum is here in the studio to tell us how a restaurant, a controversial recording, and the Attorney General's office are all looped in together, Lydia.
Shane Haley crashed his truck into a window of Addison's Grill restaurant in Columbia back in 2014. Haley was arrested and put into a holding cell where he called his attorney, but without Haley knowing, the Columbia Police Department recorded the conversation he had with his lawyer, which violates attorney-client privilege. And that tape ended up in the special prosecutor's hands. It started back in 2014 when Shane Haley backed his truck into Addison's Grill in Columbia. 4 people were injured and Columbia police officers arrested him. While in the holding cell, Haley called his attorney, but without his knowledge, that phone call was recorded.
We know this because somebody at the Columbia Police Department created this video. It didn't reproduce itself.
CPD then provided the Attorney General's office, who was the special prosecutor, with information on the case, including the recording of that call. Haley's attorney petitioned the court today to disqualify the Attorney General's office and appoint a different prosecutor, saying there was impropriety in the AG's office.
But my concern is we don't know that everybody in the Attorney General's office has not viewed this at some point, that there's not some investigator somewhere who's looked at this.
However, the Attorney General's office says it did not look at the contents of the recording.
But here, where there's no evidence, no reason to believe that any prosecutor in the Attorney General's office has ever had actual access, so to speak, to this, that I don't think the court should conclude that there's any appearance of impropriety.
In addition to appointing a different special prosecutor to the case, Haley's attorney says he would like to have the video be removed from the Columbia Police Department server. In the studio, Lydia Nussbaum, KOMU 8 News.
Today, the Dow dropped more than 560 points, then gained it all back. Experts say this bounce means investors realize the U.S. economy is still strong. This comes after the Dow dropped more than 1,000 points yesterday. Although it's not Wall Street, Columbia investors on Cherry Street say yesterday's plunge won't affect your investments just yet. KOMU 8's Chelsea Haynes is in the newsroom to give us a mid-Missouri view of stocks.
Experts say, have no fear. The stock market is known for its constant and continual movement. Today, I sat down with Mizzou economics professor, who's also a former researcher for the Dallas Fed, along with an investor from Stifel Incorporated, to get their take on yesterday's plunge. Check it out. Wall Street took the nastiest point decline in history on Monday with an almost 1,200-point plunge at the close of the day. CNN Money reported 4 reasons why the Dow plunged, stating there were concerns the Feds would have raised rates due to historically low unemployment and strong economic growth. Other factors include steady growth in corporate profits, low bond yields, and continual successes in the stock market. Yet no one knows exactly why the market took such a hit. Former researcher for the Dallas Federal Reserve says
the experts are saying that it was a sudden rush of fear that the Federal Reserve is going to start to raise interest rates more rapidly than the market had anticipated. Others feared that if they didn't raise interest rates fast enough, that inflation was going to kick in.
Cherry Street investor Brad Miller, it's about how long the market's in the dumps, not how it got there.
We've seen drops like that in the past, and they've been very sudden. And the thing that we think about most is how long they're going to last.
And whether it's 24 hours or just a few minutes.
I always try to tell people to have a little bit of money on the sideline. And when it dips, you know, don't get crazy, but buy a little something on the dip. Buy part of it, buy a little bit more. And that way when it heads back up and gets back up to its former highs, then you've actually taken advantage of it. And that's what you need to do is take advantage of situations like this.
Many say yesterday was one of the scariest days in Wall Street history. But experts like Brad Miller want us to remember it's the long-term goals that matter, not the short-term ones. In the newsroom, Chelsea Haynes, KOMU 8 News.
Amazon has passed Microsoft in value and the 3rd biggest company in America. Amazon's market value is now more than $685 billion, making it worth more than Microsoft for the first time ever. Amazon trails behind Apple and Google owner Alphabet in value. Each company is racing to be worth $1 trillion, something no U.S. company has ever done before.
Coming up after weather, after 30 years, Missouri welcomes a new prominent leader.
Plus, which CPS school had a graduation rate jump by more than 40%?
And you're taking a live look over Broadway on this Tuesday afternoon. It is 5:09. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5. Coverage you can count on.
This coroner did not do his job.
This investigation started because one dad will never know how his son died.
He didn't do an autopsy.
I'm confronting the coroner and digging into a system that's going unchecked tonight on KOMU 8 News at 10.
All right, welcome back. This is a look over the Lake of the Ozarks this afternoon. A lot of sunshine over parts of the lake area in south central Missouri. That was that big pocket of dry air that's likely cutting into our snow totals later this evening. Here's a look at our current conditions right now. Partly to mostly cloudy outside, temperature of 23. It's dry out there too. Relative humidity only 72%. Feels like 12 degrees outside with that north wind. Weather headlines this evening. Snow in central Missouri, possible after 8 o'clock this evening. More than likely, our snow totals are very cut into between now and the onset of that because of some of that freezing drizzle to our south. We have that dry pocket. A lot of going on here in central Missouri weather-wise. However, tonight we could see a little brief burst of snow, and if we get any of that, our snow total is very similar to what we saw on Sunday. Wednesday morning, going to be A-OK. All the wintry weather is going to be gone before sunrise. Just keep in mind, roads may be a little icy in a few spots. Live Doppler rate, first alert radar right now. A couple of light snow showers up over northern Missouri. The rest of us, Columbia, I-70 and south, it's all dry. There are some light areas of freezing rain and some sleet being reported south of Interstate 44. That's starting to drift out towards South St. Louis. That will miss us. The best area for snowfall stays over northern Missouri through the evening hours. And here we go, precipcast here through the evening. Couple of areas of snow try to develop in central Missouri. More than likely, these are going to be snow pellets or maybe even a little bit of sleet mixed in there too. So we'll have to watch for that icing potential. Otherwise, after about midnight tonight, that's when this system tries to wrap itself out of here, and by 7 o'clock in the morning, we're done with the snow altogether. Here's a look at our snow potential map. Half of an inch to about 2 inches of snow. That's for that system up in northern Missouri right now. That's where it's going to stay. So the snow totals out of this entire system, it's going to be over northern Missouri where we see the bulk of the snow and the highest totals. That's going to be up towards Macon and north, up a little bit closer towards Kirksville. A dusting to up to a half of an inch for the rest of us here through the overnight hours up until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning as the system exits. And then we're going to have to watch for that potential for the freezing drizzle and a little bit of sleet to pop up. Right now, I-44 all the way from Springfield through Rolla and back up to St. Louis. Sometime late this evening and tonight, we could see a few areas of that freezing drizzle pop up. I don't think it's going to be as bad as what we had last night in a few spots. It was very slick on those roads, but just keep in mind it could be slick tomorrow morning down over the Ozarks. 14 degrees tonight with light snow showers possible. Only a dusting to up to a half of an inch now is what we're expecting in central Missouri. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Roads could be slick in the morning, 30 degrees in the afternoon. Your 3-day forecast here into the rest of this week. 30 tomorrow, up to 47 on Thursday. Thursday is going to be a sunny and breezy day, but a lot warmer outside. We're back into the 30s, though, on Saturday, and we could even be seeing some kind of rain-snow mix pop back into the forecast for this weekend.
That time of the year.
All right, Tim, thank you very much.
Welcome.
More kids on the path to success in Columbia.
A look at high school graduation rates after the break.
Here's what's happening right now. The Jefferson City Diocese welcomed its new bishop today, and events are still continuing. KOMU 8's Namdi Egwanwu is in the studio to tell us more about the bishop's ordination and installation ceremony today.
For the first time in 20 years, the Jefferson City Diocese has a new bishop. Bishop Sean McKnight will now lead more than 80,000 Catholics in the 90 parishes that make up the Jefferson City Diocese. Bishops and archbishops throughout the country attended McKnight's ordination and installation ceremony. Every parish and Catholic school in the diocese's 38-county range received an invitation. The diocese communication director says that McKnight's arrival will provide a fresh start.
It's a big moment whenever I think you get a new change in leadership. It gives you a chance, like I said, to reassess, to see what you're doing, what you can do better. And, you know, our diocese has been around for over 62 years, and we've only had a change. This is the 4th change in 62 years.
The ordination ceremony was followed by a reception and press conference with Bishop McKnight. KMU will have more details about the new bishop's arrival later tonight. In the studio, Namdi Egwanwu, KMU 8 News.
Graduation numbers are up at Columbia's Douglas High School during the past 6 years of the district's 4 high schools. Douglas had the best graduation improvement at more than 45%. Hickman followed with a 9% increase, Rockbridge with a 1% increase. Battle cannot be compared because it opened in 2013 before the counting period. The Douglas principal says student success comes from the staff.
We have a staff that has been together for 6 years now. We originally started out with the school improvement grant because we were deemed a priority school based off of our low graduation rate when I came to this position. And I mean, just pound for pound, I have the best staff in the state.
The principal also says a $6.6 million grant will help graduation rates with new classrooms, labs, technology, space, and resources.
$3.6 billion and 27 million Americans at risk. How the government shutdown could affect your visit to the doctor.
Tonight, drama and excitement at Cape Canaveral, a rocket launch like one we've never seen before. Where it's going and what it means for the future of space travel. Also preparing for the worst, we're with security forces training to protect the Olympics on NBC Nightly News.
As Congress scrambles to come up with a budget to avoid another government shutdown, $3.6 billion are in limbo for community clinics. 27 million Americans use community clinics for primary health care. $3.6 billion makes up 70% of community clinic funding. The funding was supposed to be renewed last September. The Kaiser Family Fund reports about 6 in 10 clinics are already considering layoffs. Supporters say losing the clinics is a threat to their community's well-being.
It needs to be reauthorized now. We're much more than just a doctor's office. We are really the core of the community.
Experts say while Republicans and Democrats support renewing community clinic funding, it's being used as a bargaining chip to work out differences over a new immigration deal. More than 1,200 security guards who were due to work at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics have been put into quarantine after at least 36 personnel showed symptoms of the norovirus. No fun. The Olympic Organizing Committee says the people are isolated to ensure the virus does not spread any further. Everyone quarantined will be tested before they are released. The Olympic opening ceremony is Friday night. Alabama has filed a lawsuit against Purdue Pharma, the manufacturer of OxyContin and other opioids. The suit claims the manufacturer ran a deceptive marketing campaign that misled patients about the benefits of the drugs and the risks of addiction. Alabama joins at least 12 other states that have filed lawsuits against opioid manufacturers. KOMU 8 News First at 5 will be right back after this short break.
A Columbia group is calling for the removal of City Manager Mike Mathis. KOMU 8's Kyrion Lee joins us live with this recap.
Some came forward at last night's City Council meeting asking for the removal of City Manager Mike Mathis. Last month, Mathis made a presentation about race and bias at Columbia Values Diversity Celebration. A group such as Race Matters Friends says he's no longer fit for the position. I'll have another full report at KOMU 8 News at 6. Reporting live in Columbia, Kyrion Lee, KOMU 8 News.
And also coming up at 6 o'clock, we are following February for Black History Month.
Tonight, a Columbia African-American leader's journey to becoming the leader he is today. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. Tim.
Yeah, we still have winter weather advisories in effect for southern Missouri. That goes until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning for the potential for freezing drizzle. That snow potential, it's going to stay way to our north today. Only about a dusting in a few spots. Here's a look at that forecast through this evening. Not much snow in there anymore. Temperatures down near 14 by tomorrow morning.
That's our time for now. Thanks for joining us.
See you at 6.
On air.